If you're planning to travel to Australia this year, listen to me before you do two things. Buy a SIM card at Sydney Airport, and even worse, leave your roaming turned on. I made the mistake in not doing my research beforehand and ended up paying a ridiculous bill just for using Google Maps for 4 days. Today I'm going to show you the 12 eSIMs that are actually worth it for Australia in 2026. And this is where I want to pause for a moment, because the most common question I get is, isn't it easier to just buy a SIM card at the airport when I arrive? Let me answer you in two parts. First, yes, it's possible, but the airport kiosks in Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane usually charge you more and offer fewer plan options. Second, do you really want to land after a 15 or 20-hour flight with your luggage and then have to stand in line? And finally, an uncomfortable truth that almost nobody tells you. 5G in Australia as of today, in 2026, is basically only available in the big cities: Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, the Gold Coast, and the main corridors on the East Coast. In the rest of the country, you'll be using 4G LTE. And even though the speed is decent, don't expect the same speeds you get at home. This isn't a problem with your eSIM, it's just the reality of the country. Alright, now that we've got all that clear, let's move on to what's next. Which is the first eSIM I would recommend from most travelers going to Australia? When I started testing eSIMs for Australia, the first one that really surprised me was Saily, and I'll explain why. Saily is an eSIM created by the team behind NordVPN, one of the most well-known cybersecurity brands in the world. And even though that might sound like a minor detail, it matters, because it means there's a serious company behind the product, not some fly-by-night startup that pops up and disappears in 6 months. The first thing that won me over was how simple it is. You download the app, choose Australia, pick how many gigabytes you need, pay, and a QR code gets sent to your email. You scan it before your trip, and when you land in Sydney or Melbourne, your phone connects automatically. There's nothing weird to set up, no need to call anyone, no manual activations. I tested it for my living room before leaving, and when I got to my destination, my phone already had service. That feeling and not having to worry about anything when you land after a never-ending flight is priceless. Let's talk about coverage, which is what really matters. Saily connects to the main mobile networks in Australia, which guarantees you good signal in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, and most tourist areas. It supports 4G, LTE, and 5G where the local network allows. And it also lets you use your phone as a hotspot. So if you're traveling as a couple or in a group, you can share data with other devices without paying for an extra plan. But I'll be honest with you, if your plan is to cross very remote areas of the Northern Territory, the coverage will get spotty, but that happens with any international eSIM. This isn't a problem exclusive to Saily. Now let's talk about prices, which is where Saily really shines. Their most affordable entry-level plan is priced starting at approximately $4 for 1 gigabyte of data, which remains valid for a period of 7 days. Perfect for a short getaway, or if you just need data for maps and messaging. If you're staying for 2 or 3 weeks, the 20 gig plan for 30 days costs around $30, which, compared to what your carrier would charge you for roaming, is a huge difference. They also have an unlimited data option, but here's a warning you really need to hear. After 5 gigabytes of data a day at maximum possible speeds, the speed drops to just 1 megabit per second. Is it still usable? Yeah, it works perfectly for WhatsApp, maps, social media, and basic browsing. That's why my honest recommendation is that if you're a regular user, the 20 gig plan will be more than enough for you. And if you're a heavy user, consider the unlimited plan, keeping that limitation in mind. There's one more thing about Saily that I think is fair to mention. It comes with extra features that other eSIMs don't even offer. It has a built-in ad blocker that, according to the company itself, helps you use up to 28% less data, which is no small thing when you're watching every gigabyte. It has web protection against malicious sites, which is really appreciated when you're in a new country connecting to unfamiliar networks. And it has a virtual location feature that lets you pretend you're in another country in case you need to access a blocked service. For a traveler who cares about their privacy, these are details that really add value. If Saily's the ideal option for most people, Airalo is the perfect choice when your trip isn't just to Australia. And this is where I want to be really honest with you, because not all travelers have the same needs, and making the wrong choice could cost you money or a signal when you need it most. Airalo is probably the most well-known eSIM on the planet. It's been on the market for years, has coverage in over 200 destinations, and for many frequent travelers, it's the first brand that comes to mind when they think of eSIMs. And let me be clear, it's one of the most reliable out there. The app works well, support responds, and when you land, your phone connects without any hassle. It's not the cheapest, it's not the most innovative when it comes to extra features, but it's rock solid. For Australia, Airalo offers its line of local plans called YesGo. And here are the exact prices. The most basic plan is 1 gig for 3 days at about $4. They go up to 3 gigs for about $8, 5 gigs for about $10, 10 gigs for about $16.50, and the larger plans go up to 50 gigs for 30 days, around $45. If you compare Saley and Airalo plan by plan for small and medium data volumes, Airalo is almost always a bit more expensive, but when you move up to high volume plans, especially that 50 gig plan, things even out, and for certain types of users, Airalo gives you more gigs per dollar. Now, where Airalo really becomes the winning option is in a very specific situation. Regional travel. Airalo has a plan called the Oceania Regional eSIM, which covers multiple countries in the area with a single purchase. If your trip is Australia plus New Zealand or Australia plus Fiji or a longer journey around the region, that regional plan saves you the hassle of buying 2 or 3 different eSIMs. Saley also offers regional plans, but Airalo's geographic coverage in Oceania and globally with its worldwide plans, which even last for a whole year, is hard to match. If you're a backpacker, a digital nomad, or you're on a long multi-country trip, that's where Airalo really feels at home. And here's where I have to give you the bad news, because no product is perfect. Airalo's YesGo plans for Australia mainly operate on the Optus network, and from what I've seen confirmed in technical reviews, almost all the plans work on 4th generation LTE, not 5th generation. Is this a big deal? It depends. If you're going to be mostly in cities, 4G LTE in Australia is more than decent for maps, messaging, social media, and video calls. If you're someone who needs the fastest possible speeds to upload large files, stream in the highest quality, or work with big files, that difference compared to Saley, which does give you 5G in major cities, really makes a difference. It's something I'd rather tell you myself before you find out while downloading files at your hotel. So to recap, when is Airalo better than Saley? Let me sum it up for you in 2 scenarios. 1, if your trip covers multiple countries in Oceania or beyond and you want a single eSIM that covers everything. 2, if you're already an Airalo user in other countries, you already have the app installed, you know how the system works, and you prefer to keep everything under one roof. For everything else, Saley is still, in my opinion, the best value for money for Australia in 2026. For most travelers going to Australia for 1 to 3 weeks and moving around the main cities and the coast, Saley gives you the best value for money and also 5G in the big cities. For long trips, multi-country travel across Oceania, or if you need a lot of data on large plans, Airalo will serve you better. Remember that in the video description, I've left the best deals, so you can use the one that works best for you. And that's it.